Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Women's History Month. And welcome to the Empowerment Circle, where we uplift, inspire, and hopefully provide a plethora of information that will help you continue to empower yourself in your personal life and in your business life. All right, tonight we are going to bring it like we bring it every week. I am so excited and over the top for you all to meet a woman that is part of my empowerment circle and also a woman that is doing dynamic things in the corporate world. She is a phenomenal communicator. She is a trailblazer. She is breaking records. She has a seat at the table. And yes, if you guys read the bio that I posted, she is a vice president within our organization. So, without any further ado, I am going to bring in our guest, and I want you all to please join me and give a round of applause to our special guest, Miss Tasman Allen. Hey, Taz!
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I am great and very happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to join you.
Oh my God, my pleasure. And first and foremost, I want to thank you because I know it's late where you are. You're on the East Coast, and I completely appreciate your time and taking out this evening to join me and join us on our show. So, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, so as Rose said, I am Tasman Allen, and I know Rose because we both work at Kraft Heinz, and I am a customer vice president within our sales function in the organization, responsible for our BJs and Save a Lot customer teams. But in addition to that, I am also chair of our Black Business Resource Group at Kraft Heinz, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. And overall, I've been with the organization for 24 years. I am on the East Coast, so as Rose said, it is 8 o'clock here, but I'm going to try to match your energy this evening. So I'm in Charlotte. I live here with my wonderful husband, Horace, and have been here for about 3 years now.
Thank you. Oh, and speaking about your wonderful husband, I was like intrigued about your wedding. So, where did you get married at?
Oh yeah, so we got married in Tasmania, Australia. And so originally, when he proposed 2 weeks later, I'll try to make this very quick, but was very stressed about, oh my gosh, I got to plan, a
Right,
wedding.
that's a
And
whole
yeah,
nother country.
well, no, so that was just in general, right? Just planning wedding in general. So that's always something that has been overwhelming for me, probably, unlike most women who look forward to that process. So one day, I went out and one morning went out and did my run and came back and I was like, okay, we're going to get married, but we're going to go away and just, the two of us. And he agreed. He was like, where? I was like, I have no idea. And he was like, well, how about Tasmania? And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, it's always
You're
been
not
a
like
place that I've wanted to
Napa
go.
or
Exactly. I've wanted to go to Tasmania quite naturally because, of my name and visit the Tasman Sea. But when he said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. So, I mean, we found a company, Pop Up Weddings Tasmania, literally that did everything for us. And it was just an amazing trip. We were there for 17 days between Tasmania and then other parts of Australia and New Zealand. And then when we came back to Charlotte, we had a party for our family and friends. But it was just great to just do the two of us over in Tasmania. Beautiful place.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. So, this is the part of the show where I tell people and I tell you why you are part of my empowerment circle. So, and I was doing the math, and I'm not sure if it was 9 or 10 years ago, but the story is when I first came to craft. So everyone or people that know me know that I have a background in sales. And I was a gym rat. I was a sales manager for 24 Fitness, and then I joined Nabisco, and I was a territory sales rep. And then from there, I was recruited, and I moved over to work for Kraft Heinz. And I was new. I didn't know maybe like some of the technical things or how to work like in a structured like corporate environment. I was a sales gym rat. And then I was recruited to be a part of a Rising Star mentor program. And that's how we met. And I can't tell you enough. And this is something for all managers out there, especially when you get a new individual, someone that may be coming from college or someone that's just new to the corporate world, and you see like the emails that they send out, or you see if they're struggling on conference calls with the way that they communicate with senior leaders. And that's how I was. And then through Tasman, she said, okay, no, this is how you structure an email. This is how you communicate when you're talking to your boss. And then another thing too, in our organization, we have to know Nielsen. We have to know data reporting. And I was like, I don't know Nielsen. And Tasman was like, okay, we're going to go through Nielsen. So as a newbie into this corporate structure, she tailored and walked me through communications of emails, communications with corporate leaders, working through Nielsen's and other datas. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because Lord knows what I was saying and what I was doing. And then also, I mean, you empower me because I've seen your growth and your progression. And then to see, a Black woman in a leadership position like how you are, and you're humble, you're pure, and that's just empowering. And then something else that's funny, and this is a note for everyone. If you bring up a person's name, and no matter what conversation, and their immediate reaction is like, oh my God, I love her. Oh my God, she's amazing. Oh my God, oh my God. So every time anybody brings up Tasman's name, you always get, she's amazing, she's phenomenal. And I'm like, I know. So I just want to thank you for empowering me and helping me, as a newbie, maneuver myself and get myself going in the new corporate world that I was in.
Yeah, and Ro, and like we talked about, so we just ended, right, another mentoring program within the organization that was tailored to Black employees at Kraft Heinz, that was sponsored by our resource group. And, one of the pieces coming during, our celebration of the program, right, and a lot of people commented and said, mentoring is a two-way street. So when I go back to many moons ago, when I first met you, and I think I was in Chicago and you were in Northern California, I was just so amazed with your personality. And it was so unlike me, but I could appreciate it. And never once did I ever want to dumb Ro down, because that's who Ro was. So to your point, during our mentoring sessions, it's like, how can we, make Ro better? And, from an analytical perspective, or you talking about the email, but your personality always lit up a room, and you always, in my opinion, brought your whole self to the job. And I know for me, that's something that I've, struggled with. I've been with the organization 24 years. And honestly, probably last year was the first time I was like, woo, I felt like some of the weight being lifted off, where, I can be my full self at work. And I just have always admired you because you never wavered on who you are. And thank you for that, because that was very inspirational for me.
Thanks, Taz. And I went through struggles with that. And I remember I had a conversation with one of my supervisors, and I probably had the conversation with you. And it came down to evaluations. And I wanted to know, I said, because of my energy and excitement, am I taken seriously? You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, does the corporate leaders, do they see me as just this fun, bubbly person, and they don't see me as a professional, businesswoman? And then you said, no, be you, shine bright. And then I was like, okay. So thank you for, just encouraging me to, be me. And that's so important. All right, so I want to move on, and I
Okay.
want to talk about, and I want to tell the audience about this T-shirt that I have on. I know I'm dressed a little bit casual tonight, but it's for a reason. This T-shirt is powerful. There is a huge message behind it, and this goes to what Tasman had mentioned earlier in her introduction, is that she is the chairman of our African American Business Resource Group at Craft. And this year, for Black History Month, she worked with the United Negro College Fund, and she put together a plan to raise a lot of money, and we broke some records. So if Tasman, if you can share the United Negro College Fund program and donation that thing that you put together, and talk about the T-shirt.
Yeah. So, we talk about the whole purpose of this evening, right, is to talk about your empowerment circle. And this is how this idea transpired. So, someone who has become a friend of mine since moving to Charlotte, she is the area director for the United Negro College Fund. And one of the first events that I went to here was the mayor's ball. And just being in that environment with other HBCU graduates, giving back of not only, the money, but the time and just the camaraderie that you have within that room, it was just very empowering. And then I went to another event where Oprah Winfrey was at a luncheon, a women's luncheon. She was able to bring Oprah Winfrey in, and she was so inspiring. It's like, how do you use your voice, right? And so coming out of that, I'm like, okay, how can I, leverage the influence that I have within Kraft Heinz on the business resource group and do a company-wide campaign to support the United Negro College Fund. So again, I use my friend who is in the Charlotte area, and we had initial conversations and brought it internally to the organization and said, hey, this is something that, I've become passionate about here in Charlotte. And I really think this would be a great way for the Kraft Heinz organization to give back to, the Black community. And then, we worked through some things and looked at, all of the ways that we could give to the United Negro College Fund. And, with Kraft Foods being a food company, we thought it would be great to donate to their food insecurities program. So last year was the first time we had our company-wide campaign for Black History Month. And then for Juneteenth last year, the organization actually donated a sizable amount to United Negro College Fund. But for this year, definitely wanted to, do something a little different. And again, leveraging my empowerment circle internally within the organization and relationships that I had developed within the mac and cheese brand team, partnered with them to, help with us in donating to the United Negro College Fund. And they were going to match up to $15,000 of donations that, the employees would be donating between Martin Luther King Day and Black History Month. And then they also donated the swag that Ro has on today. So we actually worked with a former employee and Black BRG member who actually left Kraft Heinz late last year to pursue his career as a full-time artist. And so we employed him to design the swag. So we have hats, t-shirts, and tote bags. And we just kicked off the program, and great success. Like I mentioned today on a call, last year was just, the employee donations. We raised a little over $2,000. And this year, it was just such a success with being able to partner with the macaroni and cheese deluxe brand and getting that swag. We were able to raise 13,000, and the macaroni and cheese team, they're donating 17,000, and they were only supposed to donate up to 15. So we will be donating 30,000 to the United Negro College Fund. So just very excited about, again, how we can leverage our, empowerment circles, both internally and externally of the organization, to bring things to life for a great cause.
Yeah, I'm going to tap on the empowerment circle, but before that, I just want to, kind of backtrack and say a couple of points of what you did. And this is for, the audience out there. Number one, if you work in, a corporate environment or just at your job, be be an inventor, be a trailblazer. We have our African American student, I'm not student union, but that's something that starts in school. But we have our African American business resource group, and that is our community. And that's an opportunity for the African Americans that work, with inside Kraft Heinz to brainstorm, collaborate, connect. And it is a comfort zone. So if you don't have something like that at your current place of employment, start it. And then, like Tasman said, through that, she focused on some of the passions and some of the things that are important in our African American community, and that was donating and contributing to the United Negro College Fund. And then look at what we've done. Look at what we've done. Think about how many HBCUs that we're going to help. And then also, too, something that Tasman did, and it goes to that, that collaboration, that connecting with other individuals or other organizations within inside the company to help take your passions or ideas to the next level. So that's just food for thought. Think about, what can I do currently to make a difference at my place of employment and to be that voice for women and also for African Americans. Okay, so that's my challenge to you. So Tasman, you spoke about the empowerment circle, and I know, just going through, this path of leadership and just working, in this corporate, environment. Some people call it a board of directors, but if you can just kind of give your feedback on what the importance of having an empowerment circle and how it helped you.
Yeah, and I would say, when I think about this, right, I do kind of compare it to the board of directors. But I did learn that board of directors, you shouldn't have, someone in your immediate household that's, on your board of directors. But I will say that's slightly different for my empowerment circle. So the first person that I would say is on my empowerment circle, and I talked about him earlier, my husband, and he's just my biggest cheerleader. And yeah, so from a personal relationship standpoint, like, he is that key person to really motivate me and cheer me on. And when we talk about like business resource groups, he's very active within his company, and we're constantly bouncing ideas off of one another. And then also, being here in Charlotte for 3 years, right? When you move around quite a bit, you have to rebuild your network. So, with me wanting to be active in the community, like I told you, I'm friends with the director for the United Negro College Fund. I was a member and still a member of the YMCA, but I had interest in wanting to become on their board. And so I had to start making new connections. And it actually started within Kraft Heinz. Someone at Kraft who I found out came from the YMCA, and he connected me from Chicago to someone in Charlotte. And two people later, I'm now on the board here of one of the local YMCA's here in Charlotte. So just leveraging, that network. And I would say that empowerment circle is, ever changing, right? As your goals change. Right now I'm really back into my physical fitness, and I've gotten a Peloton bike. So now I'm really leaning on my other friends who have Peloton bikes, right? And leaning on them more and, the empowerment circle to motivate one another and making sure that we're all taking advantage of the, monthly challenges that happen. And then from, a professional perspective, not only having mentors, as we talked about, but also having a sponsor, right? So someone who is like an informal mentor, but can then turn into a sponsor that can talk about Tasman or talk about Ro in rooms that we aren't in, or help influence with the ideas that we're bringing to the table and make sure that they get heard by senior leadership if you don't have exposure to those individuals. And I would just say, like, over the last year, my circle has been so crucial to me, especially when you think about COVID and sometimes you think you're alone. You've had to lean on your circle. I know I have personally so much within this last year, and it's just been very important and very beneficial, not only to me personally, but professionally as well.
I have a question because our personalities are the same. Because I mean, I like to talk. I'll walk up to anybody. They might be like, "Whoa, back up! You're coming on too strong." But do you have advice for maybe that individual that is an introvert, or maybe not so vocal and can just introduce themselves and go into this group or join this group? You know what I'm trying to say, because some people are like, okay, I hear what you're saying, Taz, I hear what you're saying, Ro, meet this group, join this group, but I'm kind of shy. So how do I break through that? Or I mean, what do you suggest? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, and honestly, I would say I'm shy too, but most people probably don't think
You're not shy.
I am, but I wouldn't say that like networking is one of those natural things for me. So it's something that, me personally, I've, had to work on and grow into that. And
Mhm.
it's just being, comfortable in yourself and what you bring to the table and being able to, have those conversations. And I mean, last week, I was mentoring someone, and she was telling me how she was having troubles with her immediate manager, and really communicating like that she is ready to get to the next level. And unfortunately, she had been passed over for two
Mhm.
promotions. And then she, earlier on in the conversation, she had talked about how she had had conversations in the past with the president of that division. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, you need to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I don't feel comfortable. And I was like, well, hey, I don't want to give you advice and have you do something that you're not 100% comfortable. But here is what has transpired for me in taking
Mhm.
those leaps of faith, because right now I have monthly connects with our president of sales, our person who's in charge of HR for total sales every month. And it's just me reaching out to say, hey, can I set up cadence, with you, especially from a BRG perspective, and sharing those initiatives, and then also sharing things that I may have going on with my career. But my passion for the diversity and inclusion was a way for me to get into that door. Coming out of our mentoring program, my mentor was the president of our US zone. So I mean, what better mentor could I have had? And I say all this
Right.
to say is that just take that leap of faith, because when you start making those connections with senior leaders within your organization, things will shift. And sometimes it is an uncomfortable place to be in, to reach out. But, as we were talking about before, I don't see myself as Tasman Allen, customer vice president, right? I just see myself as Tasman Allen. I've been at Kraft Heinz for 24 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people, some people do, carry the title with them all the time. But at the end of the day, most people that, I talk to, especially from a senior leadership perspective, they welcome, talking and being informal mentors to individuals. So I would just say that even though you may be shy and don't want to take that first step, we want to hear from you. We want to talk to
Mhm.
you. And again, they will be your advocate in rooms where you are not in. And the benefit will far outweigh the fear that you have right now. I mean, I wish I would have been this person 24 years ago, but again, I guess I'm happy with the person who I've evolved into
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Taz, because I mean, it's so true, and I remember we were on a AABRG call, and I saw back then it was our other US sales. I forgot his name, but I was just like, oh my God, Tasman and him are friends, because it was like that person was like untouchable. You're like the US president. And I was like, wow. And then to hear that you have these monthly connects with the US, president of sales, it's amazing. And then something else that you said, and I just really want to reiterate this: take a leap of faith. Just do it. Just do it. And then for our managers and our supervisors and our VPs out there that are listening, like Tasman, when you see that you have an entry level individual calling you, pick up the phone, return that email, embrace that conversation, because 9 times out of 10, we're afraid because you're like untouchable. And we're thinking that they're not going to listen to little old me. But please have an open mind and be open for those conversations. And then speaking of that, I am dying to know, Tasman, if you can walk us through like your path, because if I understand, you started with the company as an intern. So you went from intern to VP in this corporate America, quote unquote, male dominated industry. How did you do it? And I'm getting my pen and paper. It's
Yeah.
right here.
I mean, I think it all goes back to, what we've talked about, right? Being courageous and not allowing myself, honestly, to be complacent. So I'm originally from Baltimore. I spent the first 10 years of my career in the DC area. And the last 3 years of those 10 years, our office had shut down and we were working from home. And I was like, okay, I really need to be around people. So an opportunity came up to move to Minneapolis. So to move from what they call Chocolate City to Minneapolis, and the only thing I really knew about Minneapolis was Prince. And yeah, so I mean, I took a leap of faith and moved there, and that was the best career decision that I could have made. I was there for 3 years. I did 2 roles there, and I learned a lot about myself. Again, I learned how courageous I could be by moving to a place where I literally knew one person who at that time was an associate, but she became a really good friend and also like a career coach to me as well. But the things that I was able to do in those 3 years there, so the second job that I had there, I took my first manager role and I learned so much about myself and the type of leader that, I wanted to be. Um, I learned, you can't do a one size fits all approach, right? When you're managing a team. I had 12 people at the time, and just what motivates me didn't motivate everyone else on the team. So, really taking the time to get to know people, right? And understanding, what do they want? Like, what does success look like for them? And then also, in that role, just really understanding, like, really digging down to understand, like, career aspirations of, my people. And when I was there, I was able not only to deliver the business results, but I also developed a mentoring program in in Minneapolis. And if I can just go back really quick to the whole DC
No
area.
rush, no rush, girl. This
Yeah.
is your night. No rush. I'm
I
here
mean,
for
the
it
way that
all.
I came into the organization as an intern was through Inroads. And not sure if you're aware of Inroads, but it's an organization that helps to get minorities internships in corporations. So because of that, like I've always had this passion inside of me, right, for people. So even in the DC region, I was chair of the Black Sales Council for that office at one time, and even the Women's Sales Council. And then, moving to Minneapolis, again, an opportunity to use my voice in a different way and developing a mentoring program. And then it was just like, I want to get to Chicago. I want to be, where the action is. And that was another great decision for me professionally, because moving to headquarters, I learned so much. They say that you get your executive MBA, when you move to Chicago, but just being able to work on a team and to be able to see, projects come to life and how, just an idea conception. And then a year or two later, you can see all of your fruits of your labor on shelf, at a retail store is just phenomenal. And the influence that you can have on, decisions, because you're making decisions across every single customer in the country for the business that, you manage. And the one thing that I learned there is like, hey, people are looking at you as an expert, right? So, I managed the cream cheese business at one time, and then I was also director of sauces. And, whether it's marketing or finance, they are looking at you to be that face of the sales organization. So you have to be the expert of, Walmart or Kroger or Sam's or whatever customer. And then the people in the field, they're looking for you to be the expert in, the strategy and the
Mhm.
things that, I was able to accomplish in, Chicago were just phenomenal, with the launch of one of the things I would say was like one of the babies, but launching our Philadelphia soft cream cheese reinvention was just a great project to work on. And it really challenged me as a professional and a leader within the organization to really bring that to life. And then just, after my career in Chicago, it was like, okay, I'm ready to be back in the field and, share the knowledge that, I learned from headquarters and take the knowledge that I have and build strategies with one specific customer and, be back in front of the customer. And then an
Mhm.
opportunity, came about to lead the dollar team. And I was like, oh, this business is, so small. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, right? Because I can truly make a change with this customer. So got really excited and, took the job. And honestly, coming from headquarters, the customers that I had, they were smaller. And when you think about when you're in headquarters and you're making decisions, like sometimes you're focused on the bigger customers. And I'm like, no, I'm going to change that. I know all these people in Chicago, and again, leveraging your network, right? And leveraging the contacts that I had in Chicago and just some of the things that I was able to bring to life and, into the dollar channel. And then also still, living out my passion with the BRG work, right? So when I moved to Charlotte, I was originally on the BRG leadership team, but I was in charge of learning and development. And then the opportunity came for me to, lead the business resource group. So now, I'm making all these ways, with the dollar team. And when you think about like the Kraft Heinz portfolio, most of our items you can't sell for a dollar. And that's where you really have to, think like an entrepreneur and think out of the box. And it's so many white space opportunities and how can I grow this business and working back with the business units and working back with our customers to brainstorm on ideas on how we can grow their categories. And then now, I'm here today and been in my most recent role for about 8 months now since late last year leading our BJ's and Save a Lot team. But it's just that whole entrepreneurial spirit and the
Yeah.
passion that I bring for the business. And then I think also just the leadership skills that has shown itself in light of all the social injustice last year and the change I was able to bring about within the organization and some of the commitments that were made back to the Black employees. I think coupled with that, they were like, okay, like she's a rock star and, let's put her in this customer vice president role for BJ's and Save a Lot. But I will say in these 24 years, I've seen a lot. Definitely talking with my team today, change is constant. So if you don't like change, this is a rough world for you, definitely with corporate America. But it's definitely been a good ride. A lot of opportunities within these 24 years. But I would just say if I never took that risk to move from, the DC area to Minneapolis, my life would be so different now. But, each move was just a great experience for me.
I'm getting chills and I wrote down so much, but few things that I love, and this is what I'm taking away. It's like you just kept moving. It's like you never stopped. You never slowed down. You never got complacent. You never got comfortable. You never fell into that plateau stage. And then what you did is that you brought that entrepreneurial spirit to the workplace because some people think it's different. Like I'm a serial entrepreneur. I wrote books. I do this, I do that. But I don't think about how I can be an entrepreneur and create something different,
Mhm.
create a new program in the workplace. Because you think the workplace is standard. They have their rules, they have their rituals, and it is what it is. And I'm just here to fit in. But no, you're like, hey, I see an opportunity for change. So I'm going to bring my entrepreneurial spirit to this, and I'm about to change it. And that's phenomenal. So yeah, you just kept going, sister. You was like, what's next? 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 And I think that's what we're missing. We're missing, like, we got to get up and go to work. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And then you also relocated. And I won't belabor on this, but I know that's something that I was never comfortable to do, because I was just like, I don't want to go to a city or someplace where I don't know anybody. But this is a message from Ro to you, to our audience, and I'm sure Tasmin will agree. If you are given an opportunity to take on a role with inside your organization and it requires you to relocate, do it. I mean, do it. Definitely do it, because it can open up so many new doors. All right, so we're past 30 minutes. I don't care. We can talk forever. But before I go, I just want for you, if you have one, golden nugget that you would like to share with our audience, if it's something that's related around, Women's History Month, please, the floor is yours. Please give us one or two last golden nuggets.
Yeah, so I have two. So one is a Post-it note that I have above my computer, and it says, "Have faith, take risks." And as we, talk about like all of the things that I've done, like none of that would have transpired without faith. And then being able to, have that faith and take risks. And it was a reminder for me this year where I've done it before, but I needed to be reminded of that at the beginning of this year. So I have it, like I said, on the wall above my laptop, and I literally look at it every day. And the second thing is, as it relates to, women, is believe the hype and the great things that people say about you. Because I know, like, sometimes I have trouble with that, and people give you compliments and tell you, you're so great. And then you sometimes try to sabotage that, right? But believe the hype. You are great, and know your worth, and believe in your skill set and your strengths, because it starts with yourself, and you got to believe it. So I know sometimes that can be a challenge for us, and it can be for me, but believe it.
Believe it. All right, I have to run through the comments. Dominique says, wow, that wedding sounds like the best wedding ever. And then,
Hi, Dominique.
Oh, but wait, did you see? I saw a LinkedIn post. Dominique was on a cover of like a magazine.
I saw it today.
I was like, go Dom. And then what else we got here? Oh, Dom is like, so true. Ro always brings her full self work.
Yes,
Stephanie, my branding manager, my mentor in business. She says, happy Thursday. Dominique says, such a great campaign in regards to the UNCF. Dominique says, always take a leap of faith. Horace says, exactly. She's not, she said, you're not shy. You're lying about being shy. And then one of my dear friends, Dree, she said, woo, woo. Reinventing yourself. Kayla, we love Kayla. And Kayla's prego, and she runs her own business. But Kayla said, hashtag, allow me to introduce myself. Like, let's see. She did high five.
Dixie song in my head.
Yes, exactly. And then Donna, oh my God, Donna's my heart, my soror that believe me, has carried my hand and helped me through. She says, great discussion. Kayla says, Miss Oliver, you're awesome. You're such a role model. Joyce Allen says she is awesome. Horace says this woman is awesome. I think it's unanimous that you're awesome.
Thank you. And you know what? So I see my mother-in-law and my husband, and sometimes that's why I said believe what people say about you, because sometimes you're like, oh, they're just family. They have to say that about you. And no, they honestly don't. So believe it when they say it.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to go, but I'll be talking to you probably tomorrow or the
Yeah.
next day. But just on a personal note, before I go, I just want to say thank you for helping this, little shy little pup, understand and get herself up to speed on how to communicate in this corporate environment. It was so instrumental. And also, I want to thank you for the things that you are doing at Kraft Heinz, in relationship to diversity, recruiting allies, and just how you have exploded and just grew our African American BRG. And I mean that's courageous. I mean, you are standing up, for us, and then for your passions and for your rights. And um, I know it takes a lot. So I definitely want to just thank you. And I'm sure I'm thanking you on behalf of so many people for being courageous and then just being you. And thank you for just having a beautiful smile and a pure heart.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So kisses and we'll talk later.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thanks, Rose.
Bye. All right, everyone. Oh my God. If you were not in love with Jasmine, you are definitely in love with her now. And just a couple of key things, because I know that we have to go, but I wrote down what she said. And the biggest thing was that sticky note. She said, have faith, take risk. And I think that's huge, especially for women, in this corporate environment. Speak up and speak out, take those risks. You have everything to win and nothing to lose. And then she said, believe what people say. It's hard for some people to take compliments. It's hard for us to realize how dynamic we are, but that's empowering. That's part of your empowerment circle. So believe what people say about you. And then something else that I'm going to continue to do is be that entrepreneur in the workplace. Look for opportunities where you can make change, where you can make a difference. If there's a void, if there's a need, speak up. Speak up and talk to your manager and say, hey, I have an idea. Believe me, 9 times out of 10, they're going to listen and your idea is going to grow and it's going to be phenomenal and you will make an impact and make a change. Love you guys. And as always, be bold, be beautiful, and be brave. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.